our hero, Ahmed, and his philosophy on life was, well, pretty simple. He lived in the big city of Isfahan and was completely happy. He wasn't a fancy craftsman or a scholar. Nope. He was just a guy with a shovel and a pick. And for him, that was plenty. He was practical, down to earth, and didn't ask for much.
Yeah. Well, Ahmed was content, but his wife, Jamel, not so much. She had much bigger plans for them. And those plans were about to get supercharged after a really, really annoying trip to the public bath. I mean, you can just picture it, right? She shows up all ready to relax and gets turned away at the door. Why? Because the whole place was rented out by the wife of the king's fortune teller. For Jamel, this was the last straw. She was humiliated, furious, and she decided right then and there that Ahmed's humble life just wasn't going to cut it anymore. So that night, she lays it all on the line. She gives him an ultimatum. He has to sell his tools. The very things that put food on the table and that he actually knows how to use, and become a diviner, a fortune teller in the market. And if he doesn't, she's packing her bags and going back to her father's house. I mean, what a demand. She's asking him to become a total fraud. So what's he going to do? He's terrified of losing his wife, but he's also terrified of this whole new fake career. He gives in. He gets the robes, the dice, the whole fortune teller getup, and sets up his little spot. And wouldn't you know it, almost immediately, his first customer arrives. And it's a big one. It's the wife of one of the king's ministers, and she is an absolute wreck. You gotta feel for Ahmed here. The pressure is on. He knows zip, nada, nothing. He just has to pull something, anything, out of thin air that sounds wise. So he's panicking, right? He's throwing the dice, trying to look the part, and his eyes are just darting all over the place, looking for inspiration. And he happens to look over at the woman's cloak, and he spots a small hole in the fabric where a bit of her arm is showing. A definite no-no for a lady of her status. So he leans in, real quiet, trying to give her a heads up about the tear in her cloak. But the lady, she's primed to hear some kind of magical secret, right? She hears his words, but she interprets them in a completely different way. Her face just lights up. A hole! Of course! She's not thinking about her cloak. She's thinking about a little hole in the wall of the bathhouse where she tucked her ring for safekeeping. She rushes off, finds it right there, and comes back convinced Ahmed is a genius. She pays him a ton of gold, and boom, just like that, his reputation is born from a complete accident. Perception just became reality. So Ahmed's accidental win brings him some cash and makes his wife happy. Crisis averted, right? Wrong. Because this little bit of luck is about to land him in way, way deeper trouble. That very night, the royal palace gets robbed, and we're not talking about a small break-in. We're talking about 40 chests. 40! Stuffed with the king's gold and jewels, vanished from the treasury. This was a massive heist. The king is absolutely livid. His own royal fortune tellers, totally useless. He throws them all in jail. But then he remembers hearing about this new guy in the market, the one who found that lost ring. And so, poor Ahmed is dragged, trembling and terrified, to stand before the king. So the king looks at him and says, "Tell me what you know." Ahmed's mind is just racing. 40 chests, and he just blurts out the first thing that comes to mind. 40 thieves. And the king is stunned. What insight! He demands that Ahmed find them. Desperate, just trying to buy himself some time, Ahmed asks for 40 days, a day for each thief. The king agrees, but with a terrifying catch. Find the treasure, or you'll rot in prison for the rest of your life. Okay, so Ahmed goes home 100% convinced he's a dead man. But this right here is where the story gets really, really clever. This is where a simple countdown clock is about to crash head-on into the paranoia of a gang of thieves. To keep track of his march towards certain doom, Ahmed gets a big jar and puts 40 dates in it, the fruit. Every night, he'll eat one. Simple. Meanwhile, the thieves, they have a spy in the palace, and they've heard all about this new miracle diviner. They're not taking any chances.
They decide to send one guy to spy on Ahmed.
And this part is just perfect. You have two completely different realities happening at the same time. The thief is hiding up on the roof listening. Inside, Ahmed eats his first date and sighs to his wife. Well, that's one. The guy on the roof nearly falls off in shock. He scrambles back to his boss and says, "This guy is unreal. He knew I was there. He counted me."
The chief, he's skeptical. He says, no way. So the next night, he sends two thieves. They creep onto the roof and listen as Ahmed eats his second date and says aloud, "That's two." The spies just about tumble over each other trying to get away. They are completely spooked. And you can see where this is going, right? Night after night, the thieves get more and more paranoid, while Ahmed is totally oblivious, just counting his snacks. So this goes on all the way to the 40th and final night. Ahmed is completely out of time. The thief chief is now so convinced this diviner is unstoppable that he decides he has to go himself, and he brings the whole crew with him. All 40 thieves sneak onto Ahmed's roof to find out their fate. Inside, Ahmed is just defeated. He looks at that last date in the jar, eats it, and says to his wife, "That's 40. The number is complete." He means his days are numbered, that it's all over. But on the roof, 40 terrified men hear that, and to them it's a thunderclap. He knows. He knows every single one of them is there. The number is complete. They're caught. At that very moment, as Ahmed is giving up and Jamel is finally apologizing for getting him into this mess, there's a loud banging at the door. Well, Ahmed sighs. That'll be the king's guards. But he is wrong. He opens the door, and it's not the guards. It's 40 men, led by their chief, all on their knees, begging for their lives. They are completely, totally convinced he's all-knowing, and they're ready to confess everything. Ahmed is just bewildered for a second. And then the light bulb goes on. He gets it. And he doesn't miss a beat. He sees this unbelievable, insane opportunity that has literally just knocked on his door. He tells them, fine, he'll spare them, but on one condition. They have to put every single chest, every piece of gold back in the treasury before sunrise. They frantically agree. So, the next morning, a very different Ahmed walks into the palace. He's not trembling this time. He's got a swagger. He's ready to perform his final and most brilliant act. And this move is just masterful. He goes to the king and says his magic is powerful, but it has limits. He gives him a choice. I can locate the 40 thieves for you, so you can punish them. Or I can locate the 40 chests of treasure, but I can't do both. You have to choose. He's betting everything on the king's greed over his desire for revenge. And of course, he's right. The king chooses the treasure. Ahmed dramatically reveals that through his great magic, the chests have been returned. When the king finds them, he's overjoyed. He offers to make Ahmed the permanent royal diviner, with all the riches that come with it. But Ahmed, with amazing foresight, bows and wisely retires. He claims the effort was so immense it completely drained him of his powers forever. He secures his fortune, his safety, and his freedom from a job he never wanted in the first place. So in the end, Ahmed, the simple hole digger, becomes one of the wealthiest men in the city, all because of a string of wild accidents and misunderstandings. And it leaves you with this great question, doesn't it? Was his fortune just dumb luck? Was he a brilliant con man? Or, by thinking so fast on his feet in these impossible situations, did he actually tap into a deeper kind of wisdom? Not the wisdom to see the future, but the wisdom to seize the present, right when it mattered most.